Thank you, Ocean. Thank you very much. Uh, First of all, I must congratulate for organizing a conference on such a topic, which is always relevant and contemporary. And that too, in the pandemic's era, as we are witnessing that everything is going on virtually. So, in that respect, I could see that this freedom of speech and expression and the responsibility of media is very, very important. I couldn't hear the earlier speaker, my student, Dr. Asad Malik, what he spoke about. But I think that the very concept of the freedom of speech and expression, which found place in the Constitution of India, that is the supreme law of the land, as a fundamental freedom which is available to every citizen, that must be clear because it's a conference being organized by the Department of Law. So we know that Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, which states that the citizens shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, but this is not an absolute right. The freedom of speech and expression doesn't confer on the citizens the right to speak or publish without responsibility. And this is subject to reasonable restrictions given under Article 19 Clause 2. And 19 Clause 2, which empowers the state to impose reasonable restrictions on the grounds like sovereignty and integrity of India, security of state, friendly relations with foreign states, public order, then decency and morality, contempt of court, defamation, and incitement of an offense. So when you see the reasonable restrictions which are imposed on your right to freedom of speech and expression, so we have to look back the debates, Constituent Assembly debates, when it was argued that the right has been, cut down by imposing various restrictions. And at that time, Dr. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the drafting committee, he spoke that we are doing nothing new. This is a right which is said to be absolute in US Constitution, but you see that what reasonable restrictions we have imposed in our Constitution. You will find each restriction as one of the decision of the US Supreme Court. So what the judiciary has done in United States, that has not to be given a discretion in Indian judiciary to the Indian judiciary, and that's why we are doing that work in this particular constitution itself by imposing a reasonable restriction. So you see that freedom of speech and expression is always there, which is available to the citizens, but that is not an absolute right, and responsibility is always imposed, and particularly the media responsibility. The second thing which is important in this respect is that we all know that the freedom of press is not explicitly mentioned in Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, unlike a US Constitution, where we know that press is included with freedom of speech and expression there. So in the Constituent Assembly debates, when it was made clear by Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, the chairman of the drafting committee, that no special mention of freedom of press was necessary at all. Why? Because the press and the individual or a citizen were the same as far as the right to speech and expression are concerned. And you see that a similar decision has been given by the Supreme Court latestly in 2020, Arnav Ranjan Goswami case, that the court said very categorically that media journalists also have the same right as that of the citizens under Article 19(1)(a). So we know that media is a very, very powerful platform to express. And that's why the Supreme Court has expressed its opinion and has also, we can say, introduced this press, right to press, freedom of press as part of Article 19(1)(a). And there are a lot many cases where the judiciary has included this freedom of press as one of the expansion of Article 19(1)(a). Be it Romesh Thapar case, Brij Bhushan case, then Sakal Papers, Bennett Coleman, Express newspapers, many of the cases where we find that the Supreme Court has said that press freedom is also one of the extension of Article 19(1)(a), that is a fundamental freedom under Article 19(1)(a). And in Ramesh Thapar, Supreme Court has held that the freedom of speech and expression granted to all the citizens under Article 19(1)(a) includes the freedom of press. Then Justice P.N. Bhagwati, in the landmark case of Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, he also held that democracy is based essentially on free and open discussions. Okay, so for that, it is the only corrective government action in a democratic setup can be taken when we will have the right of the press also. And if democracy means the government of the people, by the people, for the people, then obvious, it is very, very obvious that every citizen must be entitled to participate in the democratic process. And how in such a large population every citizen can participate in this democratic process? So for that, the court said that it has to be made intelligibly exercised, intelligent exercise has to be made, and that could come through the freedom of press. So free and general discussion of public matter is essential, and that could be done through the press only. So similar to a similar effect, we see the judgments of the Supreme Court in Indian Express newspaper versus Union of India, where it has been held that the press plays a very, very significant role in the democratic machinery. And this is the duty of the courts to uphold the freedom of press and invalidate the laws, as well as the administrative actions also that takes away or that abridges, that cut down the freedom of the person concerned. And then LIC versus Manubhai Disha, though it is known as right to reply, but in this case also the Supreme Court reiterated whatever has been said by the Supreme Court in this Indian Express newspaper case. So we see that this media or the press that has been expanded or included in Article 19(1)(a) is not limited only and only to print media. And we see that the judicial pronouncements through which this expansion of this freedom of speech and expression has been made, that includes print media as well as electronic media. And now we see that it is also including the social media, because we are all very much aware of the use of the social media. So in that respect, each one of us who is using social media, and I think the maximum population, and particularly after March 2020, when this virtual things have been, emerged so peculiarly in our society. So we see that the social media is also a part of Article 19(1)(a). And the existence of the free and independent or powerful media, we know that it is the cornerstone of a democracy, especially of a highly mixed society like India. Because we know that what is the population of our country and how we can divide this on various lines, educated, uneducated, literate, illiterate, caste, so many things are there, because India is a country which is having a uniqueness of plurality and unity. So we see that media is not only a medium to express one's feelings or opinions and views, but it is also instrumental in making opinions and views on regional, national, international issues. And the main focus of media is to mobilize the thinking process of the people. And you see, there is one statement given by Justice Hand of the United States of America in the Supreme Court, when he said that that the rules, the press, the radio, the screen, and as far as the spread of the magazines are concerned, they rule the country. So we see that the increased role of media in today's globalized world and today's tech savvy world is very, very far reaching, and it is making the viewpoints, the opinions of all the persons or the public at large. So we see that there are two sides of every coin. Similar is the case with the media also. With this increased role, increased importance, which is attached to the media, the need for its accountability, the need for its professionalism in reporting the matters, in reporting the news items, in reporting the stories, that cannot be emphasized. So we see that in a civil society, no right to freedom, howsoever invaluable, howsoever important it might be, it cannot be considered to be an absolute right, unlimited right, or unqualified right in all these circumstances. And the freedom of media, like any other freedom which is recognized under the Constitution, it has to be seen in the reasonable boundaries or reasonable restrictions. And we know that with great power comes great responsibility. So similarly is the case with the freedom under speech under Article 19(1)(a), and it's not absolute, and it is having a correlative with the duty that it has not to violate any law. And media, we all know, that is considered to be the fourth pillar of the democracy. It is said to be the eyes and ears of the society. Without media, now we are living in a country that we cannot survive, because electronic media, social media, that is all the part of that media, and that is all the fourth pillar of the democracy. So we cannot survive without that. And it is the eyes and ears of the society, and it has to perform the functions of like a moral watchdog, a watchdog of the public interests. But we see that the issues like yellow journalism, media trial, then fake news, sting operations, sensational and provocative news, various caste allegations, and what we are seeing, that is infodemic. Infodemic is the term which has been used for the purpose of that information related to pandemic, and that too are not correct one. That is something like wrong information. So infodemic. So these are all existing in today's journalism. We find that, and therefore there is a need of responsible journalism, or we can say the responsibility of media is very much required to maintain a balance between expression and privacy. That is between the freedom of speech and expression on one hand, and the privacy rights and the security, safety, sovereignty, integrity, decency, morality. So whatever are the restrictions, so that on the other hand, we have to maintain a balance between these two. So for the proper functioning of this organ, that is media, and to maintain the media ethics also, the Press Council of India that has given certain norms, and those norms are very, very important, because it relates to the media ethics, it relates to the media responsibility. And we see that without responsibility, without accountability of any of the organ, the democracy cannot survive. And similarly, we see that media ethics is also connected with that media accountability or media responsibility, which is a normative concept that is based on a belief that news media play an important role in a democratic society, and the public is entitled to hold the media accountable. Accountable for what? Accountable for its performance, accountable for its priorities also. You can see when you go through any of the news paper, you can see news channels in today's scenario that their priorities are fixed. So you see that the channels, they are pro or anti of this government, or something like that. So you'll find that any single type of the news items, they are just showing it repeatedly. So their performance and their priorities, they are also to be made accountable, and that has to be seen with reference to the media responsibility and as well as the media ethics also. So in that respect, when we talk about the media responsibility or media ethics or media accountability, then there are certain aspects which are very, very important, that what the media should do, that regarding the commitment to the truth and accuracy in the report, Then there is an obligation on the media to minimize the harm to the general public. And then editorial independence and integrity is also very important for fair media, for impartial media, so that it may not be proved to be biased against one or the other. So as a responsible organ, media is having certain responsibilities, and those responsibilities, like they have to observe the ethical codes, the codes that has been provided by this journalistic conduct 2010 by Press Council of India. And then respect the rights of the others, to perform as a watchdog role, like ombudsman. So you know that there is one newspaper where the Justice P.N. Bhagwati was appointed as the first Lokpal or ombudsman of that newspaper, Times of India. That is just in order to see that whether the media is reporting the things properly, or what types of the errors are being committed, whether they are observing ethical codes or not, the rights of the others are not being violated. So these type of the watchdog role is also very, very important. Then to provide the information to the public, and this is the basic role of the media. Whatever informations are there, that has to be provided, because this is very important in a democratic nation. So when we talk about the Press Council of India's norms of journalistic conduct, that was submitted in 2010, those roles and those norms, those standards, and those are very, very important. Like they said that there must be accuracy and fairness. Accuracy and fairness in what? That is, we know that a journalist has a service to the media, and it has to make sure that the news they report is accurate. Because accuracy and fairness is as an important norm of the journalist, that will enhance the publication, the circulation of any of the newspaper, if it is having this accuracy. And this is enforced by self-regulating bodies and media law, such as libel and defamation also. So it is controlled. Accuracy and fairness, that is controlled. If you are not fair, if you are reporting some wrong or fake news, or some defamatory statement, then the laws are always there. So you have to be accurate in reporting. So this is one of the norm which is important, or media's responsibility to publish accurate reports. Then pre-publication verification is important, that whatever you are publishing as a responsible media, you have to ensure yourself, you have to verify yourself. Further to accuracy, journalists should ensure that their news writings, they are unbiased, and they present the basic facts for their audience. Audience for what? Audience to determine their own sets of judgments. They can decide after going through the news item, they can see the news in the newspaper, then they can decide, and they can form any opinion that that should be related to that publication, particular story or news item. So pre-publication, or the verification prior to publish any of the story or news, or showing any news, and in an unbiased manner, that is another responsibility of the media. So for a good journalist, we see that he must show both the sides of the story. If there are 2 points, then the journalist must provide both sides of the story, and this is considered to be unbiased reporting. Then a political and caution against the defamatory writings, that is another norm. So the responsibility for journalists is that they must be politically neutral, because they are not belonging to any political party, for the purpose of reporting, for the purpose of their journalism. Otherwise, this is a democratic nation, and everybody has a choice to go for one side or the other side. But as a newspaper, as a news provider, you have to see the entire population who is going through your news items or your news stories. So for that, the news must be politically neutral. You should not give your judgment for that. And another point which is important is that the language which is being used. So this is also make responsible, and to ensure that the accurate language and terminologies have been used. This is just to help with the readability and accessibility to the news stories. Journalists, they should ensure that their writing meets to the style for their specific publication. So writing should be in plain language and without any jargon of words. You see that there is a newspaper, Hindu, that publishes in English, and you see some of the words which are being used in that paper. These are simply the jargon of words. You have to go for dictionary for many times just in order to go through one news item. So plain language is very, very important, which increases the readability as well as the accessibility of the public at large. So this will reflect the positivity also, and will be read well. And this is also one of the responsibility to go by the plain language. Then public interest. Public interest and public bodies, that is another responsibility. So it should be in public and human interest, any news item. Then it should be above the ethical responsibilities. Journalists are encouraged to write interesting news, as that is what really sells the newspaper. We all know. As a custodian of public interest, the press has a right to highlight the cases of corruption and irregularities in public bodies. But such material should be based on evidences which are irrefutable and published after due inquiries. That is, as I told you, that pre-publication verification is a must. So anything which is being published in public interest about public bodies, that has to be verified before its publication. So verification from the concerned sources, and that is important. So only after obtaining the version of the person or the authority or whom the comment is made, that is important. So the media and the authorities are two important pillars of our democracy. And for the government to function successfully in public interest, and a press as responsible as watchful, it is essential prerequisite that they must ensure prior to publication. Then there are certain parameters for the right of this press to comment on the act of the public officials. So far as the government, local authority, other organs or institutions exercising government power that are concerned, so we see that they cannot bring the charge of defamation or report of the this reporting of this critical of their acts and conduct. So which is relevant to discharge of their official duties, unless the officials they establishes that the publication was made with negligence or careless, which is not true. And we see that in the matters of judiciary, that is protected by the power to punish for the contempt of court, under Article 129 for the Supreme Court and Article 215 for the High Court. And very recently, you must have all gone through that contempt of court cases which are there. The Chief Minister of Delhi also involved in that. Then in case of the parliament and the legislatures, we find that there are privileges by Article 105 and 194 respectively. You see the parliament as well as the state legislature privileges, they are protected. So we see that the parameters which are relating to the comment on the acts and conduct of the public officials, those are to be seen in that respect, and media has to play a very, very responsible role. Then regarding criticism of public figures, we all know that we are living in a metaphysical society, and where we have made these public figures are idols or ideals also, like an actor or the singer who appears on a public stage or submits his or her performance to the judgment of the public, and as such the critics comments, you see that having relation with the merits or merits of the artist's performance, and that cannot be held to be defamatory. However, we see that the critic should refrain from writing anything which could be construed or which could be interpreted as remotely casting cloud on the artist's personal credibility. So we see that when we are writing any criticism of the public figure or any of the music reviewer, any actor, singer, or player who is in the public field or who is a public figure, then we have to see that their personal and professional life has to be separated, and we should not, or this media should not, do something which is defamatory or which is violating their right to privacy. So they have to make a distinction between professional and personal life of the public figure. Because this right to privacy, we see that the press shall not invade in the privacy of an individual unless it is required genuinely in public interest, and not only out of curiosity. So we see that Sushant Singh Rajput case, then this Riya Chakraborty, so many things that are coming up in the news channels and newspapers. So for that, we have to see the privacy also of this public figure. And then regarding cautions against the identification, so you see that there are many of the cases like rape, abduction, kidnapping of the women or the female. So this press council has also provided certain cautions for this identification. So while reporting the crimes like rape, abduction, etc., or kidnapping of women, or sexual assault on the children, or raising some doubts on the questions which are relating to the chastity of the women, or personal character and the privacy of the women, or names and photographs of the women victim. We see that other particulars that are not to be disclosed, that is the identity of the woman or the girl child, shall not be published. So these are the cautions which have been given by the press council under its norm standard for the journalist, and this is also the responsibility of the media. So you see that while they publish these type of the cases, in maximum cases the anonymity of the names have been maintained to some extent, but there are cases like Unnao and Hathras, you see that everything was going on properly. And then besides this women, you see the minor children and infant cases, and those who are the offsprings of the sexual abuse or rape or forcible marriage, or we can say illicit sexual union, that shall also be not identified or photographed, because this will invade their privacy of the infant children as well as the parents. Then intrusion through photography, the moments of the personal grief, it should not be published or photographed by the media journalists. And we see that the photographs of the victims of accidents or some natural calamity, that may be in the larger public interest. So for that, there is no caution, and for that, the photography can be made, but not in the case of the personal grief or the moments which are really, we can say, are not in public interest, larger public interest. So these are to be taken care of. Then the matters in reporting the proceedings of the legislatures, we see that the first page of the newspaper, those are basically relating to the proceedings which are there in the legislature, or some political news items are there. So the newspaper have a duty to report faithfully, we should say, and the proceedings of either house of the parliament, the legislative assemblies. And in this regard, the newspapers, they shall not be liable for any proceedings, civil or criminal, in any court, unless it is proved that the reporting has been made with malicious intention, that is, there was some bad intention for reporting that type of the news item. So they are to publish these type of the proceedings. However, we see that the newspaper should not publish any report which is not open for media. That is, there are certain secret, there are certain privileged proceedings which are not to be published. So this is one of the we can say exception, that the media cannot publish those items. And this is their responsibility. Then regarding judicial acts, whether the media can criticize judicial acts, judicial proceedings or not. So what caution the media has to take. So while reporting news that is pertaining to the new court proceedings, if there is a wrong publication, then it is the duty of the media to correct. So the correction must be made when any factual error or any mistake is detected or confirmed or has come to the knowledge immediately. And the newspaper should take sumo to publication for the correction of those actual errors or mistakes which have been published, and that too with a due prominence and with apology or expression of regrets, that it's a case of the serious lapse. So the judicial acts or judicial proceedings or court proceedings may be published, but not as the trial, because you see there are many of the cases which are related to this media trial. And I see that Law Commission of India in its 200th report has also given certain guidelines, and that what media trial is there and how it has to be seen in respect of that, what type of the responsibility media is having, so that this may be controlled. So media trial will not be there in that is in that report, you see. And therefore, when criticizing judicial acts, judicial proceedings, the caution is taken properly by the media. This is one of the responsibility. Then regarding a reply or the right to reply, we see that the obscenity and vulgarity, because this is also one of the reasonable restriction under Article 19 clause 2, decency and morality. So whatever is obscene, what is vulgar, and that has to be eschewed, that is to be shunned off, that should not be published in the newspaper, because the newspapers and the journalists, they shall not publish anything which is obscene, which is vulgar, which is offensive, or we can say which is not in a good taste of the public, which is not required in the public interest. So that should not be published. Then regarding news items which are related to the glorification or some encouragement to the social evils, so that also need not be published, and that has to be eschewed. So we see that the newspaper, they shall not allow their columns to be misused for the writings which have a tendency to encourage, glorify social evils like child marriage, sati pratha, something these like some types of these offenses, or these are the offenses now. So these are the social evils. These are not to be published. These are not to be encouraged. These are not to be glorified in the publication. So the photo coverages on these type of the communal, we can say child marriage and sati pratha, should also be avoided. But one thing which is important is that the newspapers or the photojournalists, they have to print and they have to publish, is that the role that is relating to those things which are really important for bringing communal peace and communal amity, these type of the things they must publish, because the media, they should act as troubleshooters and they should not be troublemakers. So the crisis or some type of the things that speaks about something like the abattoirs of anything, that media has not to publish and print. So while the role and responsibility of media in breaking down the communal fences we see and promoting harmony and national interest should not be undermined, it is also essential to allow the citizens their freedom of speech, and the press has successfully, and they have necessarily to judge the balance between two. So the headings of the news items or these what they are speaking about, they should not be sensational or provocative, and they must justify to the matter which is printed within that particular story. So provocative and sensational headlines, those are also to be avoided. They must reflect and justify whatever is printed within that. Then in our country, when it is divided on many grounds, we are having a secular country. So we are having different castes, religions, communities also. So in that respect, if any news item is related to the caste, religion, or community references, then we see that the caste identification of a person or a particular class, it should be avoided. Particularly when it is in the context of some attributes or conduct of a practice which is derogatory to that particular caste. So that has to be avoided. And we see that the paramount interest must always be the national interest. So newspapers, they shall, as a matter of self-regulation or exercising of the due restraint and caution in presenting or publishing the news or commenting or giving information which is likely to harm the interest of the state, harm the interest of the public at large or the society or the individual, with respect to which we see that reasonable restrictions have been imposed, they should take proper care under Article 19 Clause 2 also. And the matters relating to the foreign affairs or foreign relations, which is also one of the restriction on the Article 19(1)(a). So we know that media plays important role in molding the public opinion and developing a better understanding between the countries. So the reporting should not jeopardize the friendly relations with other countries. So that care and that caution must be also there for making media responsible. But we see that the newspapers, they may they must expose the misuse of diplomatic immunity. So foreign relations, if it is going to jeopardize the relation, that should not be published. But those newspapers must publish if there is any misuse of diplomatic immunity. So we know that media shall make every possible effort to build a bridge of cooperation, friendly relation, better understanding of media with foreign states. But it is the duty of the newspaper to expose and misuse or undue advantage of diplomatic immunities. That is to be seen in that respect. So media must inform and educate the people. It has not to alarm or scare them. So it should be objective, factual, and sensitive, like the cases of HIV positive cases, LGBT cases, then this COVID-19 cases. You see, this news item of the media, that should not be in such a way so that it may be like to give some sensational news or something like which is not correct, or which is, I mean, giving certain things in the society, so that they may be, I mean, scared of that news. So Ajay Alak Srivastav case of 2020, you see that media has published that this lockdown will continue for months together, and there was, I mean, very unrest in the society, particularly the migrant person. So these type of the news where we see that the responsibility of the media is to educate and to inform the people. That should not alarm or scare them. That should not make certain things that which are insensitive, which are not factual. So it should be objective and factual. And then this media trial also is there, sting operations, you know. So we know that as per the Press Council of India norms, a newspaper, when proposing to report a sting operation, so it shall obtain a certificate from the person who's being recorded or produced, and the same certifying that the operation is genuine or bona fide. But we see that this practice is missing. So that has also to be, I mean, responsible and more careful in discharge of their duties. They must ensure that in keeping with the high standards of journalism, and their presentations are always in public interest. They must be fair, they must be accurate, unbiased, and it should be sober and decent also. So what they should do, they should ensure gender sensitive reporting, child related stories. Then they should avoid discrimination. They should uphold the confidentiality and obtain the informed consent of the parties concerned. They should take special care in reporting on HIV cases, on election issues, on financial matters, and pandemic issues, and matters which are touching the very nerve of the public. So we find that the norms set by the Press Council of India towards media responsibility, these norms are sufficient for media and to work for the public both without interfering in the rights or violating any of the restrictions. So we see that if media can, do all these things, whatever has been prescribed by these norms by the Press Council of India, then we'll find that as a responsible media, as an accountable media, the publication and the free press, that is a fundamental freedom, that would be done in a proper manner. And that's how we see that the responsibility of media is very important in larger public interest, besides various reasonable restrictions which have been imposed by Article 19(2) of the Constitution. So everyone has a right of freedom of speech and expression, but that is not an absolute right. So with these words, I must again congratulate the organizers, and I'm thankful to the organizers also for giving me the opportunity to share my views on media responsibility, particularly with respect to the freedom of speech and expression. So with these words, thank you very much.